catch perfect lighting. You know what I'm saying? Outside lighting.
Yeah, how about that?
Perfect lighting. Ain't no in and outs, none of that shit. My shit flavorful. You dig? Oh, we gonna have a ball this one, because I'm pissed off. Oh, I'm pissed off.
Yeah, you know there's really no reason to be unpissed off. Like, you can't even.
Why wouldn't I be? You're a black man.
On Twitter. Yeah, right. There's no reason. I mean, but like, it's not new.
No,
you know, it's just publicized, and recent events have brought it to the forefront. I hear there's supposed to be some type of rally in Philly today. I wouldn't recommend going unless you're into pepper spray. But yeah.
Well, I would say this because I wanted to address it last week, and we kind of got sidetracked when we were talking about Ahmaud Arbery and some other things. But I didn't want to neglect or make it seem like we didn't recognize Breonna Taylor, the woman in Kentucky with the. So the police went and ran in her house. Suspected it was a drug house or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Turns out they go and raid the wrong place first. It's the wrong house,
right? And
the person that they were looking for, they already had in custody. They go on a no-knock. They have a no-knock warrant, right? So they kick Breonna Taylor's door in at like 12 o'clock at night or something like that, late at night. Don't announce themselves. I mean, why would they announce themselves if they have a no-knock warrant? Isn't that the whole point, to getting a no-knock warrant, so you don't have to make it known that you're the police? So then they show up, unmarked cars.
That's the bullshit off top.
Right.
But go ahead.
Show up, unmarked cars, civilian clothes, street clothes, dresses undercovers. And the boyfriend, I believe his name was Kenneth Walker, he opened fire on them when they kicked in the door because he thought people are trying to rob us.
Coming to rob his ass.
Natural. Right, yeah. Wounded one of the police officers. The police officers returned fire. Crazy shot. Hit Breonna 8 times. Also sent stray bullets through neighboring apartments. Killed Breonna. And then locked up the boyfriend. Eventually, he was released. You know what I mean? Because, you know, for real, it's like, this is BS.
But see, we have to stop right there. Because I know I don't have anything to the level of being shot at, but what is this personally? What's up with these cops and they procedure, dog? So if you coming in and you the po-po and you already coming in with a mask, you motherfucker, what is it for you to say, police, we're here, we got a warrant? You talking about a no-knock warrant, then you coming out looking like you fucking gang, whoever, Treyo, whoever coming through to do some damage. So anybody with sense and follows the Second Amendment is going to strap up and defend his fucking home, dog.
Well, a lot of the cops, it's a macho thing. It's a power trip. They also try to say we need no-knock warrants so drug suspects don't get rid of evidence. You know, we want to kind of catch them in the middle of the crime. We don't want them dumping all the coke on the toilet and flushing it.
That sound like gang shit? Don't that?
It's not.
Gang shit.
Like, it's not the cons far outweigh the pros. Too many innocent people and police officers have been killed serving no-knock warrants. You know what I mean? So it's just like, nah, we just need to do it.
I mean, suppose one of them joints that went into a neighbor's house just clip somebody in the neck, like a kid or anything.
An infant or something like that, sleeping. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
Right.
And what's that? I'm sorry. Oh, and nobody gets charged for that, and they just get some time off.
Well, I mean, that's what happened to that little girl in where was it? Detroit. The police went and kicked in the door and opened fire on her. I think her name was Aisha or something like that. She was young, like 7. She was sleeping on the couch. They shot her in the head and killed her. Nobody ever was charged for that. Nobody ever suffered any consequences from that. You know, nobody ever went to jail for that. They did the same thing with a little, like I think it was another raid in California, and they threw a flash grenade into the house, landed in the crib of this little I forget the baby's name. It was like a little Cambodian baby. I think they called him like Boo Boo for short or something like that. The grenade went off in the crib, burnt up half the baby's face. Nobody's really ever held accountable for these kind of things when the police have these gross errors in procedure. Conduct is like ridiculous. You know what I mean? So, but the whole Breonna Taylor case thing too is that, you know, I believe Kentucky is like a stand your ground state or something like that. So he has every right to defend himself when he feels threatened by the police. And there is a little caveat with that whole stand your ground thing. It's like you can't use it against police, but only in instances where the police identify themselves as police. Otherwise, you have no idea knowing who's coming through your door at 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's crazy.
And not only that, it's already sad about Breonna Taylor, and that is another countless death. But let's just think, if there were little kids in that house, they would have all got hit up. They would have all got woken up because the pop would have been defending the crib, and they would have these dumbass cops, this would have been in there going Rambo on every fucking body and shooting everything fuck up. Like, come on, man. I've had enough of these fucking cops, man. I'm sick of them.
Just when you think about it, like, how are you that negligent in your duties as far as serving a warrant goes, where one, you get a warrant for an individual that's already in custody.
Nuts in your hand all the time.
Right.
Two, this person isn't even at that location. It's like the house that I think he was supposed to be at was like somewhere like across town or something like that. It didn't even make any sense. It's like, don't you double check these things before you go and serve a warrant where potentially you or your fellow officers or a civilian could be killed? It's like,
Doug, you trying to make sense of this shit, Doug. It ain't no more sense.
Yeah, I know, like kid, you can't make sense of it. It's like
I mean, like
cut all that
the only
shit out, man. Like, no.
The only like saving grace that the other half has is that they aren't brown. You know what I'm saying? Like once you out in the public or they into your home and you're one of our shades, man, shit. You better hope somebody press record, or is your word against theirs, and their word has centuries long history of winning. So, you know, had nobody not been there to have a video on George Martin and it happened like 5 a.m. in the morning and he was alone, they would have came up with all types of bullshit talking about him, like resisting arrest and this, that, and the third. And yet, who knows, man? It's just...
Well, I mean, I think some people just are now discovering all the brutality that Black people suffer at the hands of police.
Yeah, fuck out of here.
It's been going on for centuries since there have been Black people in police in this country, even since police came out of slave patrols. You know what I mean? So it's just being, like people say, it's just being recorded now. You know what I mean?
That's all it is. It's not they just discovering they've been new this shit, but they got to play the role now because it's on blatant TV. It's fucking live and direct now, all this bullshit that's going on. Whereas though before, it was behind closed doors so they could just play the role and act like they don't give a shit. So now we got, like, we give a little shit. Fuck out of here. They don't, man. It's the same shit. Ain't nothing changed.
Even, like, when we, like, you know, George Floyd is the most recent event.
George Floyd, that's what I mean. I'm sorry, I said George Martin.
Yeah. So George Floyd was the most recent event in Minnesota, right? And when you sit and you watch it, and it's crazy because it took a city being ravaged. It took people out protesting for days on end in multiple cities across America before they finally decided to go and arrest this cop or charge this cop with third-degree murder. And you ask yourself, it's like, well, how come these police officers are afforded this different type of justice?
License to kill.
This luxury of actually being treated as innocent until proven guilty in this country, where everybody else is guilty until proven innocent. Because had you or I or you and Ty or somebody else had done this, we'd have been arrested and sitting in prison waiting for a court date to prove our innocence, and not at home waiting for a court date to prove our guilt. You see what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Yeah, there's this twisted, there's like hierarchies. There's levels of freedom that people are given in this country.
No. There's levels of whiteness.
Oh,
that's what it is, dog. It's levels of that, because we don't conquer. We don't get into none of that. Black, brown, we don't get into that, especially black. All right.
No, you're right. No, because it does come back to like a whole white supremacy and a white supremacist mindset where a white police officer can go around and murder people, like black people, like that.
Neighbors hear me.
And essentially, almost if there was no videotape of it, we wouldn't even hear anything about it. And even when you do have video evidence of it, they kind of treat him like, you know what, just go home, relax. You know, we'll try to let this blow over a little bit. We'll get back in touch with you, you know, and let you know how things are working out. You just go take it easy. Take a couple days off. We're going to pay you, you know, put your feet up, get your story together. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then we'll get back to you. You know, so it's like anybody else, like I said, will either be locked up, in prison, beaten or killed by the police for doing something like that,
Right.
depending on who they harmed. You know what I mean? So
Primarily being killed right now, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's just not shy over the fact of all this shit, man. Like, if you want a reason, and I'm not gonna lie, I think in some of these cases now, they are, and I'm talking about this hierarchy you speak of, is trying to incite a new age civil war by these actions that they're fucking doing. Because they're blatantly doing this shit, and they not, you know, they covering it up, they getting off doing what they doing over and over again. So now what has happened? We have finally gotten to the point where we've said, fuck it, enough is enough. And now motherfuckers is looting all over the country. And I'm not a fan of looting and all that shit. It's just an anger because, you know what? Fuck y'all. We fuck your authority. So with that, what comes? This dumbass president just said he gonna send in the boys. You know what I'm saying? What did he say? Looting means shooting.
When they start looting, we start shooting or something like that.
All right. So what he wants to do is create that for this martial law shit and all this extra shit. So this is just where, like, my man Killer Mike, and I appreciate him, and also the other young lady Tamika who spoke very vividly about this shit, is we as a people now have to organize and get this shit together and be on one accord to figure out how we gonna handle this shit moving forward, so we don't just keep doing the same shit that they want us to do, looting, rumbling these boys on site, breaking their shit up, so now they can incite martial law and curfews and all this extra shit.
So I mean, the protest, I get it, and I understand the protest, and looting is always, I hate to say it's attached to it, but you know, there's always going to be that element of people who, I understand the anger and the frustration, and you act out, right? So sometimes you'll go out and damage property and, you know, whatever. But I'm with the protesting. One of the things I would like to ask you all is, like, how do you go about dealing with this type of corruption, you know, on this local, even if, how do you go about dealing with this type of police corruption?
All type of change, man. Like, I mean, I guess I'm not the political cat, so I would have to, you know, reach out and.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, do you try to deal with it politically, or is it more of a eye for an eye kind of thing now?
No,
do
I mean,
only understand violence.
If you look at it from the political stance, like, we are what, 5 years or 4 years removed from having a black president, black attorney general. We were still getting beat. We were still getting killed, and one of us were in the very highest of the American offices. So the political approach is null and void. It doesn't exist. You can't approach it with peace because peace gets ignored.
Exactly.
Your only recourse is to show physically, emotionally. You would prefer it to be strategic, but with such raw emotion being dealt with, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no answer. I mean, you try, you fail, and then you, like, what did Cornell West say? You said you try, you fail, and then you fail better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no silver lining. Oh, if we just hit this button, oh, if we just flick this switch, everything will come back to the way we would like it to be. There is no way we would like it to be. These are centuries old practices that just keep their fucking foot on our necks, or knees on our necks, to be more specific. And there's nothing you can do. You can't shoot back. You can't hit back, because then you're the enemy. So,
well, if these times and issues call for a revolution, can you actually have a bloodless revolution?
No, it's not.
There's no such thing.
Sacrifices made.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing as a bloodless revolution. But to come off of what Tyree was talking about, I disagree a bit, because there is no that's what they want us to think, that there's no hope. No, it's not. Hope isn't going to happen overnight, but it has to be strategic and organized, and it starts with every different communities coming together to organize and come together to hold down a specific area. That creates a bigger thing that can come to the bunch of communities coming together that represent that city. And then that comes together, and that city represents one city to another city, and that goes to another thing. It's all about, listen, man, we got the best thing in life, numbers and our fucking mind. If we use that, we can do this. But if we don't, then what the fuck we gonna do? And the problem is, the old adage is everybody just want to go to, oh, we can't do shit. No, motherfuckers, we're in a global reset. Reset and let's get this shit together. So that's just all I'm saying. It can be done, but we have to, you know what I'm saying, move forward and try to actually organize and figure shit out to defend our families and just do what we can within they nut ass laws to make sure that we good. So when they come at us out of pocket, we can defend ourselves the best way we can.
Now, to touch on what Sleeves is saying, and it's funny how there's an election coming, right? And all this kind of ties into the election because, you know, right now you have people saying, well, vote blue no matter who, especially, you know, if you're a black person, whatever. Vote blue no matter who. You have to go out and support the Democratic candidate. You have to go out and support Joe Biden because he is the Democratic, is he the nominee at this point, or whatever. But then there are other people are saying, well, listen, I can't vote blue no matter who. I have to vote for the candidate who's actually going to implement policies that directly affect and benefit me and my people. So when you talk about organizing and getting people together to help fight this corruption that we're up against right now in local government, police departments, or what have you, don't we need to find a candidate, or should we only support a candidate who really actually has a black agenda? And I say black agenda because there's 3 black dudes right now discussing these things right now. So somebody with a black agenda definitely affects us and the way we live in our lives more than somebody who has an agenda that is, I mean, not to sound selfish or anything like that, but has an agenda that's focusing more so on all minority groups at this point in time. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. And when it comes down to it, I mean, let's say it wasn't Joe Biden. It damn sure ain't gonna be Trump. If it was a third party, somebody like that, you know what? I'll vote for them because
I think with something like that, it has to be like a give and take. Like, I mean, how many votes is somebody specific to the black agenda going to get? Like, we want victory, but at the same time, we have to be strategic to your point, because if we go for somebody who's, you know, has the same concerns as we do, and they're running against somebody who has the concern of all minorities, and we're splitting the vote, and then red wins, then we got 4 more years of what you currently see. So,
see, now I hear that now. So I guess let me clarify a little bit. So when I say we need to go out and get a candidate that has a black agenda, I'm not saying that this candidate has to check all the boxes that black people have set forth before him, but he has to check a lot. And they actually have to be willing to come out and say that I'm going to do something that's going to help benefit black people. Because, you know, we've been in this country for centuries. You know, we helped build it. The country was built off of the back of slaves. It became a world power off of all the money it made from slavery. And we still have not been treated as equals to this day. I mean, think about it. I was having this conversation with my mom the other day, and I was like, you know what, Mom, when you were a little girl, you weren't even a first-class citizen. In certain places of this country, you couldn't go to school. You couldn't, you know, you didn't have all the freedoms that a white person would have had born the same time that you did. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you didn't even get to be fully American when you were born. You know, and that's only 1 generation removed. You know, so it doesn't make sense. So it seems like in this day and age, in order to get the black vote, you definitely have to have some sort of black agenda, and you have to be willing to say that I'm going to do this for black people and not feel like there's some kind of negative stigma attached to that. Like, there is nothing wrong with saying that when you look at all the injustices that black people have faced since they've been in this country up until this day. You know that we don't have equality. So isn't it time for that? Isn't it long overdue? So, I get some people like, I don't want to withhold my vote because, like you're saying, Tyree, I don't want to get stuck with somebody who's super hardcore Republican racist for another 4 years. But then again, at the same time, do we need to hold our vote to force the hand of some of these Democrats to actually start doing things that are going to come out and benefit black people in particular?
I mean,
I
that's
mean,
a
it ain't
good
enough
question.
black people voting as it is. I mean, that's kind of the reason why Pennsylvania turned red, 3-4 years ago, because we didn't get out and vote as much as we should have. I mean, Pennsylvania had been blue since like Reagan, and I was just assuming that it was going to keep that same tradition. But I'd be damned if he ain't win it. But you make an interesting point, and I don't think any of us are really disagreeing with each other. We're just kind of
I just want to know what
trying to
has to
figure out
change,
what the
because like you
solution
said,
is.
we've been voting blue forever, but we're not seeing the type of progress that we deserve. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think has to change in our strategy for voting? Something's got to change. We can't keep doing the same thing.
I mean, in order for, what you're taking into account is the vote and possibly who can get any type of politician is grimy. The whole political system is based off of grimy shit and how you handle and make moves with different policies, senates, and this, that, and the third. So in order for what you're talking about to truly change in the big thing, the whole fucking system has to change, dog. And is that really going to
happen?
You know what I'm saying?
So is it one of those things where does the system have to change?
Yes.
Or do we as black people have to change the way we use the system? Do we need to start pooling funds to buy our own candidate like other wealthy individuals do, and have that candidate go in and start enacting laws and creating laws that are.
But are they going to allow us to do that? But are those people, those higher ups, those folks going to really allow us to come in and do that? They're going to do everything they got within their guidelines and their bylaws and their paper to make sure that we can't fund the motherfucker.
I mean, just to be specific in this direct thing that I read the other day, and this isn't too far removed from where we are right now, when they asked J. Edgar Hoover, who was the founder and chief of the FBI, what the biggest threat to the country is, and he said black unity. Like, this is the guy who is in charge of federal investigation in the entire country, and he was just a racist. How many others? Like, he's not alone. Like, he wouldn't be alone today. Like, in your scenario, we find somebody and we pool together resources and we make him this shining black prince to be a king. He is going to get a bullet in his goddamn throat before we get to any point of him being elected or considered for any office. Him and the next two motherfuckers behind him, just in case they was just as good.
See, or do we just start small locally and just start, funding the campaigns of certain individuals, but in exchange for our funds, we need this, that, and the other. I mean, that's how everybody else plays the game. Maybe it's time for us to start playing it that way. I don't know. Just put it out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, if there's a candidate listening to this podcast, reach out to us. We can get you on and you can express your political platform to the masses. And maybe from there we can start. Listen, yeah, man. I mean, that's real. Like, you ain't gonna get no close quarters than just three brothers from Philadelphia shooting the shit about what you can do for everyone. It's obviously not just resigned to staff sleeves and myself. Like, as much as we can, I think we try to speak for the people, and obviously the people are just sad, scared, worried, concerned with everything else going on in the global climate from an economic standpoint, people losing their jobs, unemployment rising at rapid rates. Then to see that we don't even have any equality because people are just getting killed with their hands in their pockets and foots on their throats. Like, where do you go for peace? Do we have to go to Canada? And we didn't build Canada, so we shouldn't have to, because that's not our bag. We built this shit here, so we should have a vested stake in it. But how? Fucking how? Like, we talk about the organization and grassroots and going behind one candidate. Man, I don't know nobody running for shit that I trust. Like, where are these people at? Like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Very good.
So that's what has to be seen, and until then, all we can do is, as we do, as our brothers.
Black ass in the house, so I'm not getting pepper sprayed, tear gas, tased, and or shot.
Well, I mean, I can't. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but I don't see anything wrong with people going out and protesting. You know.
No. I don't see anything wrong with that. I encourage that. I hope that I didn't come across like y'all shouldn't be protesting. I love the idea behind it, but I don't want to die.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, and then that comes back to the whole.
Not ready to die for the cause.
In order for the change, you're willing to die.
Right? Yeah. The answer is no.
Exactly.
I don't know how confident you guys are in saying that, but hell no, I'm not willing to risk my life for the sake of a cause that won't even come to fruition. Like, we're just blood. We're just a statistic at that point.
You know what?
There's no guarantee that our loss of life is going to, like what happened with George Floyd, is not a guarantee that change is going to come other than, the protests and what you see now and all that other shit. But 3 months from now, it's back to status quo until somebody else gets a knee on their neck.
And I would say that you might not be willing to lay your life down on the line because you don't know George Floyd directly. But if that had happened to maybe someone you were close to, you might be a little more willing to go out there and protest.
Absolutely. Listen, everything.
And I would say also, this George Floyd protest, it seems to be bigger and more effective than any of the other recent protests I can remember for unarmed black people.
Because it's the blatant disrespect, dog.
Yeah, man, that shit look like a movie. This is exactly
standing and looking at the camera, and the other Asian dude standing there like, "What's up?" And then you got 3 other boys on the back. Like, this is real quick. This is the problem I have, and I hope all you racist cops are listening. Cause fuck you, and come see me. I got something for you, bitch ass. Believe that. But anyway, all I have to say is, if you're a cop and it's 4 of y'all, it's 1 man, isn't your job to apprehend, pick him up, and get him in the squad car? Why do you have him laid out? Why do you have your fucking knee? And hold on, why is that
7-8 minutes?
Why is that even a thought? These chokeholds and these joints around my neck. Why is that even a thought? When you're trying to apprehend me, you're trying to take me back to the precinct, or are you trying to kill me?
It's like Big Pun said in Twins, man. Spike Lee couldn't paint a better picture. Like, Radio Raheem didn't get that foul of treatment when the cops killed him. At least they were standing. I mean, he had a stick across his throat, but it wasn't like to be so cavalier as to have your hands in your pockets, like you just waiting for the fucking bus, while you are literally watching or feeling the life escape from this man, and you got your homie standing in front like nothing's going on. Like, it's the epitome of entitlement to think that this is okay. I'm going to go home, kiss my wife, have a shower, eat a steak, drink a beer, and come back to work the next day, and shit going to be different. So,
and I'm going to do it again if I can.
Yeah, man. And
it doesn't help that narrative.
Do the right thing was 30-some years ago, and it's over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And as I say, it doesn't help that narrative that there are no good cops. You know what I mean? You just have bad cops and complacent cops. Because it's like, well, 4 of you guys and not one of you was going to stop him and say.
Not one of you thought to tell him, hey, maybe don't kill this man. Maybe get the hell off his throat. If he's already down and subdued.
Speak out against his action and these behaviors, because, I follow some organizations. Right?
I got to go back to your theory on good cops and all like that. I feel there are people with good hearts, and some of them wear badges and whatever. But let's be real here, man. If you black and you a police officer, how the fuck do you sleep at night? Because this system was never set up for you in the beginning. And now, like, what, and you have no, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, yes, you can, even a commissioner, a black commissioner, guess what? He still has somebody to answer to. And guess who he normally has to answer to? What color is it? And what hierarchy? All right? Because it's a gang. It's a gang based off of white motherfuckers, man. So how can you be a part of that? I don't get that. That's where I'm at with police.
Police unions that never want to hold their officers accountable for anything.
Yeah, I mean,
like an officer actually brutally murder an unarmed, handicapped individual on tape, And police unions will come out and say, well, it seems like he followed procedure and, you know, we don't see anything necessarily wrong with his behavior.
Gang shit, dog.
What?
Gang. That's what it is, bro. Come on, man.
It's like anything, man. It's like anything. Like we all went to Lincoln, also we rep that. We're all black, so we rep that. We're all from Philly, so we rep that. They're all cops, so we rep that. Like there's always going to be that infrastructure gang mentality.
That's way different, Ty.
But like,
different.
huh?
That's way different, bro. I'm sorry.
I'm not disagreeing with you that it's definitely different. But if any one of us from 19 to 21, if things weren't going our way and we got an offer we couldn't refuse from the police department, like it's not beyond the realm of possibility that I could have been a policeman right now. Like it could have happened if that I saw that as a viable opportunity, but
no,
it just didn't, man. Like
I'm here to tell you.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm not going to shit on somebody for trying to find the right job for them to take care of their family.
Right. Yeah. And see, that's another thing.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at this point in time, and not even this point in time, I know it's been times that they go home conflicted. That's all. And that's what's corny about doing that, because they can actually be trying to do something right for the folks in the community and trying to protect and do everything they're supposed to do with the proper intentions. But you got somebody, because of a chain of command system, that comes in and scraps all that shit and say fuck you and you got to do this, and that's that. So you get what I'm saying? It's a crazy flip on that. That's all I'm saying.
If you don't get along with the program, if you don't go along to get along, there's going to be no overtime, no promotions for you. You're going to get the worst beats.
That's work, nigga.
Now to what Tyree was saying, I get, you know, the whole I gotta do something to take care of my family, but I feel like you become a truck driver as a job that's I got to do what I got to do to take care of my family. You don't become a police officer because there's too much power and responsibility associated with that position. I think that has to be a calling. I don't think that just can be something that you just say, you know what, I'm just going to be a cop. That's the problem. There are too many other positions where all you need is a high school diploma for the majority of police officers. I know some require 2-year associate's degrees or 4 years military experience or law enforcement experience of a year from some other department, but you can be a police officer with a high school diploma, and if you play the role, do what you're told, with overtime, you can clear over 6 figures. There aren't that many other jobs.
Right. So you're saying what I'm saying. Like they find this opportunity right out of high school, and they're like, hell yeah, where do I sign? That's exactly
it's going to attract a certain group of, you know, people to it, but you know.
And I guess on the flip, I'm always to the left for what Tyree was talking about. It never crossed my mind to ever do none of that shit, because I was the nigga back in high school when we used to come past Broadnowny. They used to have the Army boys set up in their little shop trying to grab us and get us to come in there and talk that shit to us. And I would tell them, kiss my ass. I wish I would fight for your country that ain't going. I don't have no say in that. I'm just doing whatever you tell me, and I'm your funky, dog. I've always had a problem with authorities. So guess what? Fuck all that.
Having a dad that's an ex-cop and also former military who told me don't do either, like, it wasn't a real concern. I'd have been a fireman before I was a cop, being honest. But you know, I'm just saying, like, the option was there, but like it didn't really seem like something that any of us took serious. Like, there's no way I'm going to be part of that problem, because, man, by the time that you can get to a point where you're working towards a solution, you're like a 20-year vet, and you're already so deep in the bullshit that you don't even care anymore. Like, there's no new police officers that are going to be the voice of change, the voice of new, like that because of the chain of command that we mentioned earlier. Their voice is getting stifled immediately if they start to speak on any type of uprising. And then next thing you know, they're fired, they're out of a job, and the cops are focusing on their ass to arrest him for any slight thing.
Well, I would say this, just to move it along a little bit, addressing accountability. So Officer Derek Chauvin, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name. He was arrested, like we stated earlier. He was charged with third-degree murder, and I'm okay with that. I know a lot of people aren't. You know, they want like first-degree murder, but as we've seen before in the past with police officers killing unarmed individuals, it's really hard to prove first-degree murder in a courtroom because you need intent and like was it like premeditation or something like that? You know what I mean?
Premeditated. But your point is valid because
third
that's
degree,
going to have him walk because there's
right.
going to be a long ass trial trying to prove that. Whereas with third degree, it's the video
you didn't intend to, but you still cared.
For that.
It was like
no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You know what I mean?
So what I want is the Asian homie. I need the Asian homie to not just be fired. Like everybody that was in that clique has culpability.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm not saying, you know, give him life, but God damn it, man, he's got to be on trial for like I forgot. I think it was 4 cops there or something like that.
Yeah,
whatever, man. Like, no.
Yeah. So
because if the 3 of us rob a liquor store and Stop is the one that whoop ass and take the money, me, Stop, and Sleeves on that video, we all doing time.
I whoop the ass. Sleeves stand by the door, and you be the getaway driver. We all doing time.
Right, exactly. Or Sleeves stand by the door and then get in the car and be the getaway driver, and I'm just sitting in the back swiping on my phone.
Yeah,
you know, on Facebook or some shit. I'm still doing time because I didn't stop the action, and none of those people around there stopped the action, so they should be culpable.
Yep, exactly, man. So,
yeah, man.
Well, I don't know. I think we've addressed all the stuff that I wanted to talk about today. I don't know if you guys had anything else that you wanted to discuss.
Yeah. Ain't too much happy shit going on.
I want everybody to be safe out there in their protests. You know what I mean? And you definitely got to watch out for the undercover cops who are out there. You know, you got Agent Provocateur.
Did you see that one asshole that had like the umbrella and the hammer and he
nonchalantly breaking glass window? It was like, come on.
Like
you
just
know,
a plant, dog.
He was too nonchalant about it. I heard the umbrella so that the closed circuit TV cameras can't see your face and all this other stuff.
They got cats out there. They dressing up in blackface.
Go in there and loot the auto store. The windows are already smashed. It's like, come on.
They dressing up in blackface, man. They start half of these joints. They starting. You know what I'm saying? Going in on the.
It's always been
like they are vicious, man.
Yep.
You understand?
Any attempt to try to control this narrative and make the police look better than they actually are, and make the protesters look like they're in the wrong.
Look like the thugs that the president called them.
What do you call them?
As opposed thugs, opposed to the good people and upstanding citizens who just want peace.
Not fine people.
Want to go outside.
On both sides, right?
Yeah, man, it's like.
I swear to God, he is the absolute.
I know people that elected him, and they're like dumbfounded. Like,
I know.
like he just jumped into the sky. Like, did you not watch The Apprentice? Have you not heard this man speak in life? Like, why is this a new? Oh, I didn't know it was going to get like that. For real, dog? You had no clue. How is that even possible? How is that fathomable? Like,
no, you was this show going against him. No, he's not a politician. He's not like them.
I just thought maybe if we got a businessman, then he'd shake things up.
I was gonna say that. He's gonna shake shit up. Trump's gonna shake
shit up. Well, here we are. We right in the middle of the shake and bake.
We'll see what happens when things get shook up too much.
Yeah, man. Like,
but you really want it? It's like, no.
That's why I'm typically not surprised. Like, did you hear what happened to you? No, I don't. Like, why is this a shock to you? Like, you know, it'd be like, damn, did you know Ty still ain't got no hair on his head? No shit. It's been decades. It ain't coming. Like, why are you surprised? If you saw me with braids, then you should be tripping.
We gotta have a conversation. I need to find out what you're doing.
Tell
him again. Dip the hat for him again, man. Tell him again. It was stupid.
It's ridiculous, fam.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The boss, man. You know what I'm saying? This was the righteous cast right here, man. We fired up, man. You know what I'm saying? All across the board, man. You know, Sleeves in the building. Of course, good brother Stoff, man. My man Sky, actually Ty. You know how we do. You know what I'm saying? The balls everywhere. Dread in the cuts. I be on set at Dread Crib all over the place. Inside, outside that joint. This is what we do, man. The faculty, man. The balls. Everywhere. Everywhere. Niggas. Get at us, man.